Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for this invitation. I'm always very pleased to talk to networks like yours. They are extremely useful platforms for informed discussion, and it's great to see sustainability and environmental policies on your agenda. Today, I'll be talking mainly about the Green Deal, about why we need it and what it does. But I'll try to give you some personal insight into life at the Commission as well. But let's jump into the policy to start with. Almost every day we see new evidence about the effects of climate change and biodiversity loss. Serious effects on our well-being, our prosperity, and the future we are creating for our children. When you add COVID to that mix, you have a very toxic combination as we still grapple with the consequences of the pandemic. Climate change and biodiversity loss are the biggest shocks waiting around the corner. We adopted the Green Deal before COVID-19, but it proves to be even more relevant in the COVID-stricken reality, because it's a map to long-term sustainability and we can use it to kickstart the economy by shifting it towards a green transition. It offers a chance to build a back better, a move to a clean, climate-neutral, regenerative economic model. It's a systemic response. None of the components target single sectors. They are all part of a whole, where each element supports the others. So when you look at the initiatives that have been adopted, you see how they support each other. We have a climate law, which is good for biodiversity, a circular economy action plan, which moves us towards the climate targets and create jobs, a biodiversity strategy that protects nature, a zero pollution action plan that saves lives and brings down emissions. Taken together, they put Europe at the forefront of change for climate, for waste management, for water treatment, and many other areas in the twin green and digital transition, where we could keep a first mover advantage. One of the questions you asked me was, is our climate policy ambitious enough? Late last year, European leaders agreed to raise our emissions reduction target to at least 55% by 2030. Last month, the co-legislators reached agreement on the European climate law, which ensures the higher targets in law. So my answer is very much yes. What the EU embraces is fully in line with the typical global scenarios limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And we are convinced that the Fit for 55 package, to be adopted very soon, will put the EU on track to meet its new ambitions for 2030. There will be new legal proposals for a wide range of areas, including more ambitious and extended emissions trading, effort sharing between member states, renewables, a carbon border adjustment mechanism, and so forth. And in line with that, what I said about multiple wins, there are other measures on the way to increase our carbon sinks, like the forthcoming forest strategy and the initiative to plant 3 billion extra trees by 2030. The effort to bring about a green transition is unprecedented, but it will bring enormous rewards, not just from environment perspective, but economically and socially as well. And that success will set an example for the rest of the world. It puts us on a clear path to climate neutrality by 2050. Fit for 55 will also include the carbon border adjustment mechanism. The mechanism will ensure that the price of imports reflects their carbon content. This way, we protect our industry from unfair competition in countries that don't share our climate change objectives and are still using old carbon-intensive technologies. Circular Economy Action Plan is our vision for an economy that gives more to the planet than it takes. An economy that minimizes our impact on biodiversity. An economy that really addresses the big problems we face: climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. It is already happening, but the challenge is ensuring that the frontrunners become the mainstream economic players. The plan is to transform how we design products in Europe to make them more circular, reducing waste and minimizing environmental impacts through their life cycle. There are two major elements. The first is a Sustainable Products Initiative, which will bring in a new approach to a very wide range of goods. It follows the model of the Eco-Design Directive, but with a vastly broader scope. You can expect it at the end of this year. And the second element are more targeted strategies for product value chains, where we see a high potential for circularity. That includes electronics and ICT, batteries and vehicles, plastics and packaging, textiles, construction and building, and food, water, and nutrients. The potential here is immense. When you look at the carbon footprint of the ICT sector, for instance, it's expected to equal half of the entire global transport footprint by 2040. And the clothing industry is another big surprise. More than 3 billion tons of CO2 emissions every year, more than all flights and shipping combined. So there are major advances to be made in both those sectors, which are top priorities for the Commission. In the invitation you have sent to me, you were also kind enough to ask some personal questions. For example, about what it's like to become minister at 27 and the European Commissioner at 29. Well, what can I say? Age has never been something I think of, and time never fails its job. More seriously, my advice would be don't ever listen to people who say you are too young. Being young, always about being a bit of an overachiever. Youth means energy, it means a better understanding of how younger generations feel. Thus, we make policy for our children. It's their world that needs cleaning up, and it's our duty to deliver. Young people are the future of any country. Very often they are the most courageous, the most hungry for change. Young generation is already influencing the course of history. The European Green Deal is a perfect example. So please, make sure you always remember that you have enormous talents to offer, and I'm sure you will be very welcome wherever you choose to go. Best of luck with everything, and thank you for the invitation.